Yes, I'm wondering if you find any fault with your colleagues in the humanities in that physical science seems to have very definitely ruled out miracles or whatnot, as you cataloged.
I'm sorry, again, I can't. I'm a little deaf. I'll work on my hearing aid here, see if I can.
I was wondering if you find any fault with your colleagues in the humanities in that the physical science has ruled out these mystical phenomena, but another aspect of what religion seems to provide to people is an ethical guidance. And it seems, particularly in the last 100 years, there's been a failure on the part of philosophy to provide a rational, secular code of conduct and means of living.
He said that he's wondering if you think it's a failure of the humanities to have proposed a physical or a scientific answer to morality and ethics. Is it a failure in the humanities philosophy, for example?
Well, I don't think they have failed on that score. I mean, there is a whole study of morality, of the source of morality, the evolution of morality. There's biological evolution, social evolution. I believe it's more of social evolution myself than biological, because I don't think we've changed very much in 10,000 years. But there's a huge literature on that. And in particular, the problem that I run into as an atheist is trying to convince people that you don't need religion to be moral. That morality, things like the golden rule, go back long before most religions. Religions picked up on morality, and it's fine that they teach morality, that's good. But they sure can't take credit for it, which they do. And then what people have to realize is that there are plenty of moral people out there who are not religious.
My question is regarding the uniformity of nature and what your particular belief or viewpoint was on the uniformity of nature. Does it remain the same? Does it change? Is it possible?
Asking about the uniformity of nature, what is your particular view? Is there uniformity? Does it change nature in general?
You mean, does the uniformity change, or just? I mean, sure, we know that change happens, and there is. In fact, I would say that the laws of physics, which are incidentally human inventions, can be pretty well understood by a notion of symmetry and uniformity. You really do get the basic laws that we know of, like conservation of energy, conservation of momentum, conservation of angular momentum, relativity, Galileo and Einstein's relativity. These all follow from very simple symmetry principles. And symmetry principles have been the source of the great 20th century advances in the standard model, I call the standard model of elementary particles and fields. So if anything, the world looks as simple as it could be.
Do you think these physical laws that I concur are man-made, do you think they're found universally throughout nature, or do you think there's a universe where these physical laws don't apply?
Well, I think that, let me go into this in a little detail, because this is a good question that comes up all the time. Suppose you're a physicist, and you're making a model, and you're going to use space and time in the model. Now, you're going to try to formulate your model in such a way that it's not just good today, or tomorrow, or you want it to be good 1,000 years in the future, 1,000 years, for all time. You want it to be good for all time. So you're going to make sure mathematically, in that model, you're going to make sure that there's no special moment in time singled out. Just because you want to be objective. You want it to be, not depend on your particular point of view now, but you want it to depend on, to be good for all time. Okay, so if you make that model, what's going to happen? That model is going to contain, automatically, without any input on your part, conservation of energy. That was a theorem that was proved back in 1916 by a German mathematician by the name of Emmy Noether. Now, the same thing is true for space. If you try to make a model that's good not just here, but also out in space every place, the most distant galaxies, then that model can't depend on your particular location in space. And when you do that, according to Newton's theorem, that model will contain automatically, without your input, conservation of momentum. One more example. If you want your model to be the same here as in Australia, so that it doesn't depend on any particular orientation of your axis system. So you draw an XY axis system, you can rotate it any way you want. In order to attain that, you have to make sure that you have the symmetry to that rotation built into your model, and then that model will automatically contain conservation of angular momentum. So there's a whole series of laws that we think are handed down like the Ten Commandments that are in fact automatic once you try to do, this is something I call point of view invariance. As long as you try to make your models not depend on any particular point of view, then you'll get just about all of the laws of physics fall out of that. But not all of them. Some of them result from broken symmetry. Because we do, after all, have to view the universe from our own perspective, which is here on Earth, where the temperature is low in the universe, where it's the time when the temperature is much lower than it was at the beginning of the universe. So these laws have to be broken to some extent for us to use them for our own point of view. And so when you put that symmetry breaking in there, you get the rest of them. Pretty much everything else falls out pretty naturally. There are some quantities that we still can't derive, of course. We still can't calculate from the theory. The theory has maybe 20, the basic theory of physics has about 26 independent parameters. Maybe someday we'll reduce that number. Unfortunately, some of the theories that people are coming up with are multiplying that number by huge amounts. String theory multiplies the number of parameters by 10 to the 500. So if you think string theory is the answer to everything, think again.
You're an atheist, right?
Right.
No God. Right? No God, right?
No what?
No God.
No doubts?
No, you're an
No God.
atheist. No
Oh,
God.
no God.
Many
Right.
gods.
Right?
Right.
Okay, what is the purpose of cognition in a non-cognitive reality? What is our function in the whole of it all? Minor little detail. Any ideas?
Did you get that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we are our little individual organism sitting here on the earth, and we have obviously, to me, no special place in the scheme of things. So what we have to do with our lives is make our own meaning, right, here on earth, and we live the life we have.
What if there
And
is
that's a healthier thing to do, incidentally, than think you're part of some grand cosmic scheme. If there's anything that makes you arrogant and more arrogant, it's to think that you're going to live forever as part of some great plan.
Well, okay, without a God, because I'm an atheist also, but I think that cognition plays an important role in the whole of it all, and I'm just wondering if you were aware of that concept yet.
Of what?
And I'm not,
Aware of what concept?
the concept that cognition actually has a function within the concept of a non-cognitive
Cognition?
reality. You know, there's planets, atoms, they don't know they exist, right? We
Yeah.
do. What do the planets and atoms need us for?
Well, you tell me. I don't know of any other planet where there's any life at all.
Okay, in the Big Bang Theory.
But there's cognition is, as far as we know, neuroscience has developed to a very high level, and we can pretty much cover most of cognition now in terms of material operation of the human brain. Now, exactly what consciousness is, people still argue about that. You know what I think? I think consciousness, since we have so much trouble defining it, may not even be a definable quantity. It may not even exist. It's just a word that we use for something that may have no real way of defining it.
Okay, when you get
I
down...
don't know, but we still have to work on that. That's true. We still have to work on a full understanding of the material brain.
Okay.